I am happy to learn that the Abdul Kalam Trust at Ernakulam is celebrating the birth anniversary of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. In fact, I must congratulate the teams for remembering this day and conducting a seminar through the web for the benefit of the student community. My congratulations and compliments to all the participants as well as to the organizers. This day is a historic day as far as India is concerned. After Mahatma Gandhi ji, the second Mahatma is virtually Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He was not only a scientist, a technocrat, an administrator, the past president of India, but also a great humanitarian who cared for the life of the people, and he wanted to spend all his energy in bringing up a new generation to face the challenges of the world. I will consider him as a role model as far as the modern youth is concerned. And as for me, he is my guru. After leaving the college and joining Tumbai Kattur Rocket Launching Station in 1967, then onwards, I have spent nearly half a century associated with him in various fields of activity. Primarily, when he was in ISRO, I had the opportunity to work under him, and virtually everything about the rocketry, the management, the human interface, all this I have picked up from him, and I consider him as my greatest guru. Well, later, after leaving ISRO, he was in DRDO, and there also I had opportunity to work with him on several projects, and even continued our interaction while he was president, and then when he left the office and was doing a mission of passing on the knowledge to the young generation. I consider him as a very, very special personality and very unique person with a great qualities which is not seen in any other human being in India. Let me pay my respects to him on this day. You must have read Wings of Fire, which is the life history of Dr. Kalam, written by himself, and that brings out abundantly about his poor beginning in a fishing village at Rameswaram, and then how he rose step by step to finally reach the Raisina Hills and occupy the Rashtrapati Bhavan as the first citizen of India. So this journey is quite arduous, and perhaps if you follow that, you will understand how the personal willpower and perseverance can take one to great heights. As I mentioned earlier, his early schooling days, he spent in a normal school, government school at Rameswaram, and there he had sat with the students of various community, and his teacher, he always quotes that he is one person who taught about the religious equality and not worrying about caste or creed and treating everybody as a human being. There again, it was during those days he took fancy to flights. He used to watch the flight of seagulls, and that has motivated him, and he determined that he wants to really take up a career in the flight related field. So this was a great motivation for him, and the type of the learning on the moral values he got from his Pandit who was there, the temple priest, and his father, He always used to respect and say that that is one thing what has made him as a very fine human being. After finishing the school, he had the passion for science and he took a degree in BSc degree from Trichy, St. Joseph's College, and later moved on to MIT to pursue his passion of flight related subjects. He joined the MIT for a course in aeronautical engineering, and that has been the foundation for him for the future life. Of course, he decided to become a pilot, but unfortunately, he missed that selection by a few marks. But he was not disappointed. He joined the aeronautic development establishment at Bangalore, and in the early days itself, he built a hovercraft which was just emerging in the global market and demonstrated for various defense applications. That's the time when he was selected by Dr. Vikram Sarabhai for participating in the space program, and that changed his career entirely. Of course, people claim that he has been trained in NASA and so on. The fact remains that he has got an exposure to the rocket launching related topics like setting the launcher, direction, wind weighting, and so on from the NASA's Wallops Island facility for almost 1 month. That's all. There is no other exposure for him from any foreign source as far as the rocket technology is concerned. Then later, of course, when he was in Tumba, he was very innovative. He took the initiative of developing various new things under the Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station itself. We were using imported rockets for various applications, and he has undertaken the challenge of developing a Rohini series of rocket and Menaka series of rockets for developing the basic rocket technology. This is the time when Dr. Sarabhai wanted to India to take up the challenge of placing its own satellite into the Earth orbit, its own launch vehicle. Space era was just begun, and hardly 10 years back, the Sputnik was launched, and that was the motivation for Dr. Sarabhai to initiate such a program. Dr. Sarabhai gave a vision that India should be second to none as far as the high technology is concerned, and we should master this technology, not only acquiring this technology but using it for the benefit of the common man. We truly lived up to his expectation, but Dr. Kalam was given the major responsibility of developing the SLV-3. A project team was organized, and I was fortunate to be a member of the team. And in 1970, after about 10 years of hard work, we realized large rockets. First rocket carrying about 10 tons of propellant, and then of course 3 tons, 2 tons, and some 500 kg and so on. So these 4 rocket systems were developed under his leadership, and we attempted the first launch of Rohini satellite in 1979. Unfortunately, we failed. But his determination and hard work and he has motivated all of us to put in an extra effort to identify the problem and make a successful flight as quickly as possible. And we did so in 1980, and that has taken India to the Space Club in the 1980 itself. While we were developing the SLV-3 itself, he had a flair for seeing how this can be used for other application. He saw the potential of using the SLV-3 first stage for the missile, surface-to-surface missile program. But unfortunately, ISRO was supposed to engage only in development of space and related technology for peaceful application only. Hence, we have not taken up that initiative. But at the same time, looking at his passion and also looking at the national needs, Madam Gandhi decided that he will move to DRDO, wherever he will take up the development of the missiles for the country. He launched the integrated missile program, and that has fructified today. And the Agni series of missile, the largest in the series, is the product of this. We are able to carry a weapon of more than 1 ton to more than 5,000 kilometers range, and that has become a very big self-defense mechanism for the country. Not only that, as a weapon system, he has synthesized the effort of the scientists from atomic energy, DRDO, and space to realize the atomic weapon. So he is known as the father of atomic weapon as well as father of missile program in the country. He served as the advisor to the defense minister for quite a long time, and later as a chief scientific advisor to government of India under Vajpayee ji, and of course after superannuation he wanted to pursue a career in academics. He was aspiring to get into some education institution as a professor, and the net result was he landed up in the Anna University as a visiting professor. And there he has not only taken research programs under the aerospace, but also on the human interface with machine. Especially he has guided a project on implanting a chip in the brain so that the hearing impaired people can be helped out. So that was his passion for the science. This is the time in which he was nominated to be the President of India, and he became with a large majority of with victory, and he took up the position of the President of India and served in this capacity for 5 years. Though he was living in a palatial Rashtrapati Bhavan, he opted to go into a small apartment block in that building itself for his day-to-day life. And his simple life pattern, what he has started at Thiruvananthapuram, living in a single room lodge, he has continued even at Rashtrapati Bhavan. He was never after luxuries, he was never after the pleasures or luxury goods, but all the time and energy he spent for enthusing the people. He threw open the Rashtrapati Bhavan for the common man, especially the students, the intellectuals, the journalists, politicians and all. He used to hold a lot of debates sitting there and give his ideas to them. His greatest contribution, I will say, is the concept of Pura, that is taking the urban facilities to the rural area, that is providing urban facilities in the rural environment. This project was launched in such a way that the village youth will be empowered to have a very respectable learning and have a proper living for their living. So this program was implemented in a pilot scheme, and he wanted to do that, and he gave a great vision of how India can be self-reliant by 2020. This is being pursued by several governments, but somehow we are in 2020. I would say about 50% of such objectives have been achieved. Remaining are before us. Now, this I just gave you an idea of his career and growth to highlight how a single individual with a vision, with a concentration, dedicated efforts and commitment can really excel and rise to the topmost position and contribute to the national development. This is the finest example for the youth of today. They should seriously consider how his lifestyle can be emulated. He was an absolutely clean person. He was not involved in any of the corrupt practices. And to give an example, he went to Rashtrapati Bhavan with one small bag in his hand. When he returned also, only the same bag was there. But there were instances in which politicians, they walk into Rashtrapati Bhavan with a simple bag, but returned with truckloads of luxuries. He never opted or decided for such things. More than that, he has sacrificed his personal life. He did not marry a woman and had a family life, but he was married to the science and technology. So this is something which is very, very unique, and no wonder he rose to such great heights from the poor fishing village of Rameswaram. Certainly, I have learned quite a lot from him in terms of interfacing the human beings, how to tackle the personalities, how to really take up the learning of new technologies, experiment, and he taught us a lesson that we should never be put off by failures. We should learn from failures. We should use that knowledge for not repeating the failures. So it's a great lesson which I learned from him, and I'm happy that I could follow his footsteps for a long period in my career also. Well, once again, my greetings to all of you, and thank you for the patient listening.